Hello everybody, welcome to today's stream about ZBrush and jewelry. My name is Nacho Riesco. We are going to be here sculpting during the next 2 hours, making organic jewelry design. So thanks everybody who are watching live the stream, or thanks to all of you who are going to watch the stream recorded. So thank you very much. So welcome everybody. Let me see if everything is working fine for me here about the streaming. Let me know if my voice sounds good, if the music is not too loud. Let me know. Write your comments, your questions, whatever you need. Again, welcome. Let's reduce a little bit the music. And hey Fexter, how you doing? Welcome to be here. Long time without talking. Yes, you are right. So I have been without the streaming for a month, maybe, or almost a month, because I was having problem with my latest streaming with my internet connection. I wasn't able to make the streaming that I had already scheduled, so I'm sorry for that. Sounds good. Okay, sounds is good, my voice is good. So today we are going to follow with this design. So I'm going to remind you, if you go to the Pixologic YouTube channel, because I'm more a YouTube user more than a Twitch or Facebook user. If you go to the live, just in case, if you are interested on from where I started, if you scroll down here, scrolling down, I must be here. You can see here in this streaming, this is the previous streaming. It was 1 month ago, and I started this design, this kind of beetle or scarab design. So I'm going to follow working on this guy today. So I started from scratch, so talking about the main reference that I use for the idea, so from the starting point, and this is still almost here. So you will find it here, as I said before, under the online videos or the live videos, scrolling down, looking for almost 1 month ago video. So you will find my previous live. So let's put this here, and this is where I left it. This is, you can see it was almost a sketch. I did this sketch using this. I started exporting some renders from ZBrush, and I made this. I put this here. Let's make this bigger. So I made this. So with the idea that I had in mind, trying to find some more ideas, or getting more references, or thinking about how it will look like almost at the end. And I made this kind of drawing when I decided to put this pave here on the upper body and almost on the legs. I was deciding the composition, the balance of the whole design, and this is going to be the main reference. So I started from this, and in my free time I was working on it, and this is what I got now. Yeah, so from here, we're going to start from here. You can see here, comparing this, I was just cleaning these shapes a little bit, and I added the wings, the vertical wings. I also changed a little bit the compositions, the proportions between the body and the main stone here on the top. I was working on the back, so it is not finished yet, but because it's roughly sketched. So the idea is to make a brooch, not a pendant, as I was talking about on my previous streaming. And this is going to be the starting point for today. Just in case you have any questions about how I did anything, that it is already done. So just send your questions or comments. I will be happy to ask all of your questions, comments, and trying to make the live as more interesting as possible. So, okay, so let's go. Let's start working on this. Checking again the music, maybe it's too loud on my side. And I'm going to, for today, mainly I think I'm going to start working on this part, the upper body, when I'm gonna place the pavé. I'm gonna work on the system to place the stones here. This is going to be a stone, this is going to be another part of the same stone. So I'm gonna work on the stone setting for this area, and I'm gonna work on this pavé or the stone setting on the arms as well, because I can say almost the wings and this lower kind of fan or feathers here on the bottom. I think they are almost finished. Of course, I think they will need a little bit more tweaks, maybe, for cleaning shapes or for making the final Boolean operation. But at this point, I think I'm happy with the result. I'm gonna leave it as they are, and I'm gonna start working on a completely different area. In this case, this part. So let me put this here. Okay, I'm gonna show you here again. This is the one of the reference that I grabbed for taking some inspiration, or real picture from beetles and for scarab from bugs, and I grabbed this idea from this design I found on the internet. So that's the reason why I was talking about this on my previous streaming, just in case you are interested on review it again. So let's drop it here. And I'm sorry about the live title. I think it is wrong. The title says that Andre is streaming. I'm not Andre, I'm Nacho. So for any reason the title has been updated. So, but no problem, there is no problem with this. I think it will be updated maybe later today or tomorrow, because just to clarify that I'm not Andre, I am Nacho Riesco from Spain, making ZBrush organic jewelry designs. Hey Victor, how you doing? Everything is doing good. Doing well today. So I have been talking about the design I'm making today. I'm going to follow working on this. So let's start refining. I already have this, you can see here, all the subtools organized on 2 different folders. If I'm going to work only at this moment because I already have the parts or the subtool organized by the scarab on the wings. I'm going to turn off the wings, and I'm going to work on the back side. I'm going to grab one of the subtool here from the wings, because here you can see, here I have, let me turn this on. Here I have 2 main primitives. It's a cube and a sphere, a squeezed sphere, which I am use them as a main boolean for cutting out the backside. You can see if I turn this on and off. And so I decide where the design finishes at the back. And I have this also for making some kind of removing some of a bit of material from the backside, because it's going to be good for the weight. It's not going to be so heavy if I make it thicker, or if I try to dig into the backside. So I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna make a copy of this one. I'm gonna click a duplicate, just for having the same reference on the body. Let me put it here. This is going to be negative. And you can see, so I need to know that both cubes are placed in the same space. So I have a reference to know where the design finishes. Okay, before I start making anything, it's time to setting up the units of the scene. You know that you should go to let me close this, to the plugins, scale master, set the scene scales. We're going to work in millimeters. So now we have the scene set it in millimeters. So now from this point, we're going to be able to start taking measurements in millimeters. So if we, for example, if we want to know how big is this from top to bottom, you know that if you are using the transpose line, I'm going to place the transpose line here from top to bottom. It is almost 24.7 millimeters. So I am saying I am reading 24.7 millimeters. You also can see the same value here at the bottom left, but if you are willing to read millimeters, the value is on the top left corner. If I turn this off, and I'm talking about this space. This is the space where you are going to be able to start reading the measurements you are taking with the transpose line. You can see, you can read here 24.777 millimeters. So we can say we are almost reaching 25 millimeters. So talking about 25 millimeters, it's an habit that I have. I used to use my caliper on next to me, so I am checking we are talking about one thing that is this big. It's a very small piece. So we should have this in mind when we are sculpting or we are putting more elements, because during the design of a jewelry pieces, the measurements are going to be very, very important. Let me remove this. Turn on again the top ribbon. Hi Leonard, how are you? Yeah, it's good to see you here too, watching the stream. Thank you for being here. So I have this, because if I turn on the wings, this kind of, it hasn't any thickness, but I have this as a reference, this kind of template, we can call it template, where I know which is the lowest point. Maybe it's not the lowest, maybe I can push it to the back a little bit like this. At this moment, I'm not sure if I'm going to split the body from the wings. So I'm trying to think assembling system. I don't know if it is going to be useful or is going to add a lot of working time for the design. So at this point, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it could be a good idea to split the design into two parts, the wings, or maybe in three parts: the wings on the feathers at the bottom, the body, and the bezel or the stone. But at this point, I'm not 100% sure. I think most of the time, these kind of decisions will be based on the budget, because if we are going to split things into the design into different parts, we should start thinking about the assembling process. The assembling process means that one person is going to be necessary to make the soldering with laser or with any other system with a screw. So it will take more time, so more working time. So at the end, the piece is going to be more expensive. That depends on the budget, or maybe on what is the budget for the clients, or what is the budget for you, how much money you are willing to put on this design. But at this point, maybe just for learning techniques with ZBrush, maybe could be a good idea to split things into different parts. But at this point, as I said before, I'm not 100% sure. So let's turn off the wings. So these are going to be two pieces of maybe a blue stone. I don't know how to say it in English. It's lapis lazuli in Spanish. Let me see if there is any translation. Lapis lazuli in Spanish. In English it's saying that it's almost, sounds almost
lapis lazuli.
lapis lazuli or lapis lazuli. You know what I'm talking about. This kind of I'm talking about this kind of stone. I'm talking about this one. You can see it's very common when we are talking about beetle or Egyptian designs, or designs based on the Egyptian culture, ancient Egyptian culture. So these two pieces are going to be two pieces of lapis lazuli, custom cut stones. Okay, I think for a person specialized on cutting stones, it's not going to be very difficult to achieve this shape. But that's what I have in mind. And we can hold it on top with this part, because this part is going to be metal. This part and this part. And we are going to need two walls on the border. One, I'm sorry, not two wall, one wall on the border and another wall here. So it will be more or less something like this, not too big, with a cut here and with the other thing here. So the one stone, another stone, and here we have a wall. This wall is going to be this, and this is the wall will be keep the stones in place. I think it's going to be enough. And it's time to start sculpting or modeling the walls, the necessary wall for keeping the stone safe in place. So that's the reason why I made this. I need to know how thick is this from the border of the stones till the border of the mesh. Here I'm having 0.4 millimeters. That means that maybe it's too small. Maybe I need more thickness here. And now one of the things that I like to use when I'm using dynamics, one of the reasons why I use dynamic subdivision is because not too much subdivisions, is because I can play with the thickness. So you know that if you add thickness to this, you're gonna start getting thickness, but it is virtual thickness. That means if I turn this off, we are still working with a flat mesh without any thickness. But with this, and another very good thing is if I can control the offset. In this case, you can see that the thickness grows from this part to the left or from this position to the right. In this case, it's going to be necessary to apply minus negative value of 100. And if I want to know how thick is this, the same as usual with the transpose line. Now here I'm having from point to point 0.4 millimeters. That means that I think this value doesn't mean anything at this moment. I'm reading here 0.24215, doesn't mean anything. You can see if I take in the real measurement, ZBrush is telling to us that the thickness is 0.4 millimeters, almost 0.5 millimeter. I think for a piece of metal is going to be maybe very thin. Maybe if I click here 0.3, here having 0.6 millimeter, start having sense. And keep in mind that we are creating the initial piece of material. That means that during the process we can make it thicker, we can make it thinner. It's just a reference what we are doing, right? So you don't have to be very obsessed with the precision of the units. So if I always say that we are just creating a starting point to work with. So during the designing process, we can change, we can make it thicker, thinner, bigger, smaller, doesn't matter. So I think like this is going to be good. Let me see where the cube is. The cube is here. And also, I think here is not going to be a big issue, because if I turn on the wings, I think you can see here, this is the lowest, this is the the back part, and this is where we start. So we still have this thickness, so it's going to be necessary to push this back to here. So now and after, maybe we can make this hollow on the back. So let's see. So at this, I mean, I'm just saying that at this moment, this thickness, it is not very important. So it's not at this moment, right? Okay, so let's make it, and here I'm having an issue. Maybe instead of, maybe I'm gonna push it here, not 100, maybe say minus 50, minus 40, maybe. Okay, let's leave it this as a starting point. So once we're happy with the results, we can apply, so we can create the real geometry. Click on apply. So we are working now with real geometry, and now we are going to create the extrusion for the wall, for the vertical wall. So in this case, the measurements is going to be very important. So I mean, I'm going to try to make it around between 0.6 and 0.8 millimeter. That means that if I start taking a measurement from this vertex to this, here I'm having 0.7 millimeter. Okay, it's a good starting point. That means that if I grab the C modular and remove this H, so let's delete the H, the complete loop. So, and now let's create a new poly loop or polygroup here. So we are looking forward to create a polyloop here. This is what I am having, and maybe let's see how it works. If I now click on QMS polygroup all, this is what we are getting. Okay, I think it's good enough. We said that here we are having 0.68 millimeter. So I think on the screen looks, maybe it looks thick, but in the reality, we are talking about almost half of a millimeter. So it's good enough. That means that maybe this part is going to be necessary to make it wider. It's gonna be necessary to tweak, to change, to adjust a little bit the measurements. And okay, like this. And maybe it's not going to be necessary to make it so tall. Let's start making not so, maybe something like this. And it's going to be enough. And now it's going to be necessary to adjust the stones a little bit, because here you can see that the stone is biting. So the stone needs to be more or less like this, because at the end of the process it's going to be necessary to know the size of the measurements of the stone to give the values to the person who is going to carve, is going to create this 2 pieces of blue stone. Let's make it smaller like this. So maybe it's gonna be nice if I apply a bezel here using the C modular. Bezel, no, a bevel, I'm sorry. So it's loop complete. Let's make it bevel here. So from the front wheel looks a little bit thinner with the bevel. Okay, and let's create the vertical wall here. So we can insert easy. I prefer to keep this as a separate subtool instead of making a new extrusion from this mess, because I think it's going to be more flexible in terms of if we decide to change the shape of the stones or whatever. So I think it's going to be more flexible if we keep it as a different subtool. So let's click on insert, cube, the cube is here. You want to make it like this. Let's push it to the front. Let's make it bigger like this. And then let's change the topology. You can see now what I like to make when I'm working with cubes. So is click on groups by normal. So we have one subtool for each side. And if we go now to the zero measure and create the new mask, keeping the groups and setting up this value to 0, so we don't want to smooth anything, so we can create a clean topology just clicking one button. And if we go now to the scale master, this is 0.7 millimeter thick. Maybe this is gonna be thinner, so let's turn this off because I don't want to change the size for all of the subtool. And as I only want to change one of the values, I need to turn this off. And let's tape here 0.6 millimeter, and let's make it thinner. Now here we're working with a piece of 0.6 millimeter, like this. Let's push it this, and maybe with the click curve, let's clip this, following the shape of the stone, maybe with 2 cuts, another one here. Okay, perfect. And we can make it. Remember that when you are clipping the mask, you are not cutting the mask. You are just pushing the polygons against one direction. So now here, so now maybe it's time to create a new topology with the same amount. Oops. Let's say double. Let's apply some polishing first. Now with the same. Okay. Let's apply some polishing now. Now it's better. Let's see how it looks like from the side. Maybe it's gonna be necessary to make it bigger. Like this. Perfect. So that means that this part needs to be higher. This part needs to be higher as well. Okay, we already have this. Maybe we can, if I make a new mask with a less amount of polygons like this, it's going to be better to create the bezel or the bevels like this. Maybe now sliding this side, slide, it's loop complete with the symmetry on, like this. Okay, perfect. Let's save. Thank you very much, Andre. Thanks to you for being here, watching the stream. Okay, let's. So now here we have this. Now what we have, if I turn this off, we have made a box. Oh, I made this. I didn't take into account this. It's going to be necessary to make this bigger. My fault. Like this. No, not that much. Maybe here. Like this. And then we can push this in a little bit. It's gonna be necessary to change the topology again with the zero measure with the same amount like this. And now we can maybe, yeah, let's with the clip brush, just clipping this part is going to be enough. So we have made a box, so it's going to be necessary to adjust this. Let's hide the wings with the back face. Let's make this, and this part is going to be necessary to have the shape of the stones. And here again, and it's going to be necessary to hide it here. This is what we get. And if we turn this on, if I turn this off, I'm going to turn off the boolean, because for the process that I'm going to use now, it is not able to do it with the booleans turning on. I'm gonna select this piece, and I'm going to hide this, the legs. I'm gonna hide this. I'm going to hide the head and the body. And the stone, it is not necessary to leave it visible now. And what I'm gonna do is, selecting this, I'm gonna flip it. You can see a part of the mesh is inside. Gonna make it like this. And now I'm gonna use this brush, ZBrush brush without the symmetry. Because with this, to know how deep the stones goes inside, if I select the stones now, I can, without the symmetry, it works better without the symmetry. So I'm gonna push the geometry, having this piece as a reference without making any boolean operation. You can see I have made this. Maybe if I repeat it, I'm gonna repeat it without the RGB on, because it's gonna be better. This, or maybe because here I have a very low resolution mesh. Let's make a new mesh first. Series measure with the double amount. It's going to be better to work with. I'm working with less than 100,000 polygons. Let me create a new mesh. Instead of subdivide the mesh, let's create a mesh with the double amount of polygons. So, okay, let's polish it. Let's polish it a little bit to make it more beautiful. And now we can do this. Sometimes what my customers do is to print the stones and give the printed stone, the 3D printed stone, as a reference for the guy who is gonna carve the stone. Scroll, Andre, follow is another. I'm not Andre. I was mistaken before. I'm not Andre. I'm Nacho. That's the reason why the title of the streaming is wrong. So I'm not Andre. I'm Nacho from Spain. So I think that the streaming is still getting the same title as the previous streaming. So my name is not Andre, but if you call me Andre, it doesn't matter. No problem. You follow some of my ornament videos. They are very useful, and I know you ZBrush guys all the time. Yeah, ZBrush guides they are very useful, just for drawing the curves. So then, when you are clicking all the curves, then you will have all the pieces of geometry ready at once. No problem with it, no problem. If any tips for retopology, I'm not a big fan of making retopology because most of the time I don't care about the topology because my work is for 3D printing, so I don't care about retopology. But it's a good question because from time to time it's going to be necessary to retopologize. And my tip, the things being said, that means that I am not a big expert about making new topologies or making retopos or whatever you can call it. Okay, let me change one thing first, because before explaining to you what I have in mind about the, because I have noticed that this thing is wrong, like this. It should be like this, and I flip this. Now I need to hold this answer for a second. So let's keep this. Or it is not necessary to make this at both times. So then with mirror and well will be necessary. So it's not going to be to mirror it to the other side and now mirror and well, and now have this thing ready. So flip. So that means that I have the shape of the stones, which this one already made. They fit like this. Okay. So this is what we have so far. This one and this. Okay. So talking about again about retopology. For example, one trick that I can give you is, or one tip is, I think retopology is much better if you are using polygroups. That means if you are looking for a precise polygon flow, it's much better to paint first, or to tell to ZBrush first the polygroups as a path. And now when you are creating the new mesh, we're using the zero measure. So I am talking about automatical retopology. When you are clicking zero measure, keeping this button active, you will get better results if ZBrush knows where to put the necessary loops following the polygroups that you had made before. So that means that when you are thinking about making new topology based on the zero measure, first organize your polygroup first, and now it's going to be easier to achieve good results. And for example, if I'm looking for to retopologize this piece, I know you already know that exists a very old method based on spheres when you can start painting the polygons on top of the geometry. It's a manual retopology way, but being honest, I don't remember how it works because it's a very old workflow. But I love it. Instead of that workflow, I use this one. This is a brush that I love it, topology brush. For example, if I need to make a new topology of this, it's as easy as start painting your topology. So let me, I think I already have. Okay, so you start painting your topology here, like this. And now it's going to be very important to start crossing the lines. So it's much better, instead of trying to merge or to unit, or I don't know how to say it, to merge or working with the circles. It's much easier. It's easier if you are just crossing the line. So now you can see you start creating your new topology. So you start crossing here. Now you start getting this. So if you are looking for a loop here, you're gonna start crossing the lines again. And now you can start having this. you want to remove the unnecessary lines, pressing Alt and making a stroke everywhere. Or if you want to remove some lines that were which are wrong, so Alt, cross the line, so you will get this. For example, you want an extra rows here, you can do this. I have a problem maybe here, like this. Maybe I have a problem. This, I don't know what it is. It needs to be from here, and this one needs to be down. Solves. So now, then you can start painting your new topology manually. I think this method is very fast and very intuitive, because if you want to get rid of some of the lines, so Alt, cross the line, and done. So another loop here. So, and at any time, if you are happy with your topology, you just tap it, the geometry somewhere, and now you are having the new topology. So the good thing about this is that you are having a new topology with thickness. If you don't want any thickness, you need to set up your brush size to 0 to 1, and when you're tapping on the in this case, it's going to be necessary to click on 2, a little bit bigger. So then I think in this case, I don't know why it doesn't allow me to. Here's okay, well, it is not a big problem, because if you make it with you have this with the thickness. When you split mask point, here you have your new topology. And now another good thing, and the topology is based on different polygroups. If you are looking only for the external polygroup, Control Shift, tap on this polygroup and remove the invisible ones, and that's it. So now you have here a completely retopologized piece of geometry. The title doesn't change in the stream and skips their streams. Yes. I don't know why the title doesn't change. Or maybe I'm making something wrong, because always happens. I don't know how it works, and this could be a good way for making new topology. And also, for example, another way, because here I have made this new topology based on an existing topology, which is a curved surface. It is a volumetric surface, because I can explain you how I did this with this process. Let me hide this. For example, these pieces of geometry. I started from a plane. And with the same brush, and here the brush, you can see you can start making the lines freehand strokes. But if you are looking for 100% straight strokes, you need to go to the stroke, to the curve section, and turn this on. So now you're going to be able to create straight strokes. You can do this 1, 2, 3. And now here you have the new piece of geometry. Or for example, this is a process that I use very often when I need to create feathers. If I come back again to the stroke, turn this off. If I create one feather like this, so I can cross it in the middle, and now I can start. And now here I have my starting point. So if I tap here I have the feather with a necessary clean topology that I need, or whatever you can use. For example, for making straps, when you are sculpting a character, or I don't know, for jewelry, this process is going to be very useful for many different applications. Even more, if you have a plan to work with ZModeler, because with this process, you're going to be able to create a very basic topology to work with. So from this point, you can start creating adding more sides, start pushing or pulling polygons based on polygroups. You can do many different things. For example, this. If I use the C modeler, transpose each loop partial, like this, you can start creating this. And now you can, for example, click here, click, and now this is going to be so easy to create this kind of hard surface shape with this process. If I split this into 2 different polygroups and I crease the polygroups, now if I start subdividing this mesh, I have this clean shape. Okay, I think it's going to be necessary to create a new polygroup here. Crease polygroups. So you can do this. So it's not going to be necessary to transform any primitive. So you can start painting the necessary topology with this brush. This is a brush that I love to use. This is one of my favorite brushes, the topology brush. It's very useful, and I think not a lot of people is using this brush, at least as far as I have seen people working with ZBrush, because I think this brush comes with an old version, maybe 5 versions ago, or I don't know, but I mean that it is not a new brush. So let's delete this and let's come back to the thing we were creating. I'm gonna remove this as well. Delete. And okay, I think here we are where we are, so maybe let's paint this with blue tint, maybe, just for differentiate the stones for the rest of the. Okay, more comments. Let me read the comments. You are welcome. Scroll Reaper. Very nice. I'm sculpting 2 characters with a lot of armor. Yeah, and feeling ring. This will be. Oh, sure, 100%. This is going to be very useful for you if for making that kind of filigrines, ornaments. But I'm not a person who is, as I said before, who is worried about the topology. Maybe I prefer to start to work with pieces of clay, polishing, carving, pulling or pushing the polygons. So not a lot. I'm starting with clean topology, C modeler, managing sites, vertex, but it's a completely different way of working. But you can use both. Especially I am planning to apply it to a studio by the latest amount. Speeding through and doing a quick retopo to get a clean. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I think all of you know that the retopology is very boring, so it takes a lot of time, even the necessary knowledge that you should have to know where to place the loops on how the polygons flows on the surface. But most of the time, or sometimes for me, it's necessary. Or for example, one of the cases that it's necessary for me is when I need to make any unwrapping or apply textures on a surface using UV mapping. So creating a good topology or retopology, making a new retopo, it's going to be necessary in many cases if we talk about apply textures to a surface. I originally planned to have it done before yesterday, so I wanted to jump on the practice, but I think they make. Yeah. This is I think I said it again. I'm not an expert about retopology, but I think based from my experience using different methods, you need to create your own topology. This is in my opinion, that is the best way of do that. You have another process. Let me think. What is it? It's I don't remember. It is from you should start from um, from a brush, but I don't remember where. Maybe a flattest tab. No, it's not this one. I'm sorry, but I don't remember it now. When you have, it is an IMM brush, which you can insert a piece of geometry, a polygon, a simple polygon, 4 sides, 4 vertex. But I don't remember where. Maybe in the IMM primitives. Oh, here it is. Insert H. So you can do this instead of the previous method I told you before. For example, coming back to the same top mess, this. You leave here one polygon. You can see it is one single polygon. Now you split mask points. And now with a feature inside of the C modeler, you can extrude move. So you're gonna start extruding. You can start extruding. And now inside of the settings of this method, you can turn this on, snap to surface. So you will be able to, but I think maybe it's too high. Snap to surface. Remove, normal attraction, smart attraction. You have different choices. It's just a matter to play with them to see what they do. Let's change from smart to normal. Maybe you can start doing this. And the good thing about this, you can see you can snapping. Let me. No, maybe it's gonna be better to. Smart, snap to surface. You're gonna see you can start snapping, closing the, I don't know, sometimes I don't find the right words, but you can see how you can close the topology. So the sides automatically snaps the surface. This is going to be another process, but in my opinion, maybe this process will take much more time because you have seen that sometimes it's very difficult to follow the shape of the thing you have underneath. In my opinion, it's better the other process, but here it is a completely different process. For example, for this, it's going to be very useful for creating straps or things or topology which follows an existing surface. But I think, in my opinion, I prefer the other brush, the topology brush. You have seen that I'm not a big expert about this process. I prefer the other one. For me, all the things that you make it freehand, I mean, I prefer them because I come from the traditional sculpting field. So when you talk to me about topology rules or 3D rules, so I am not on that field. Let's delete this too, and let's save this. Topology is useful for surfaces you are going to deform a lot. Yeah, depends. The good topology is useful for many things, but maybe one of those things is when you want to deform things a lot. Yeah, maybe. For posing characters, I think as far as I know, the most important thing is the topology, of course. We're talking about in general, but I think, in my opinion, it's much more important for having a good loops and polygon flows. Let's see what, okay. Yeah, the other method is nice for drawing the topology quickly. Yeah, it's very nice. And because once you have the topology, you can start managing the vertices and the sides at your preference. So that means that, if you don't need to be 100% precise when you are drawing the topology. So once you have the real topology, you can start sliding the sides or removing the wanted side that you don't want. You can do many things. So it's going to be a starting point. That's for showing this method as well. Okay. You are welcome. So let's start working on this. This, I'm gonna set stones here. And this could be a good example about one thing I said before, because I'm gonna change the topology of this piece based on polygroups. Let me see how it works with wings. Like Boolean equal 5 plus this topology. Let's create a mask. Let's make it bigger. Like this. Okay, it's going to be enough. And now I'm gonna paint different polygroups. Of course, you can see the topology I have here is a mess because it's composed by different types of polygons, triangles, quads. So let's create a new topology now. Let's decide to create the double amount, keeping the groups. It's much better to keep the symmetry on, because keeping the symmetry on, ZBrush will mix both sides equally. And now I'm gonna start painting polygroups. So I'm gonna paint the polygroup here. I'm gonna create the polygroups based on mask. Create the one polygroup here, who is going to be the front view. It is not necessary to be very careful to paint it very carefully. When I'm creating mask, I prefer to set up the focal shift of the mask to -100. So you are going to be able to paint better defined masks like this. Let's paint it closer to the border, and here like this. And now Control W. If I isolate now this polygroup, let's create a new mask here. Let's create a new polygroup for this surface. Like this. Control W. And the third one, this is going to be easier than the others because we can use the lasso. And now Control W. And now we have different polygroups. Let's apply some polish by feature first. So just for creating the paths or the borders between the different polygroups more strict and clean. And now we can go to create a new mask composed by, let's say, for the first time, the same amount, keeping the groups. I don't want to polish to smooth the new groups. And here I'm having a new topology, which I don't like very too much. Let's click on half. Now it looks much better. And now you can see now the topology is good enough for what I want to do. So now from this point we can start subdividing the mask twice. Now start polishing the mask, polish by features. Oops. Polish by features. Polishing many times up to apply tension to the mask. So we are having something much more precise, and maybe we can start refining the surfaces with any of the, for example, this one, H polish brush. Because I'm looking for a flat surface as more regular as possible or as more uniform as possible, because as I said before, I'm gonna set stones here. It's going to be easier if I am having a soft and uniform surface like this. Let's change the shape we like. This. We can apply some regular polishing to round the corners a little bit more, and this is going to be a good starting point, I think. Let's polish by feature 2 times, a little polish here, and now here we have this. Good apology. Okay, let me see if I have missed any of your comments or questions. No, okay. Keep working. So let's repeat the same for this piece. So this should be here. This should be here. For this piece, it's not going to be necessary to be very precise. Maybe with a regular series measure, it's going to be enough. Let's double. Then, yeah, it's going to be enough. Leave it like this. Let's polish, and it's good enough. So let's change the topology of the head. You know, the topology of the head is good enough at this point. Okay, let's start creating the stone setting of this part. Let's turn on the legs first, because the legs are going to have stones as well. Like this. Let's polish, but let's leave the legs till the end. Let's make some tweaks to the stones first. Here. I forgot to turn on the symmetry. I can symmetry on. This thing should be here, here. I start polishing the surface. Something like this. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's start working on the stone setting. For the first thing, I'm gonna create a recessed surface, because the stone setting is going to be this way. So it's gonna be, we're gonna have a wall, and here we are gonna have the stones. One stone, another stone, another stone. And here we're gonna have the prongs, right? Well, the prongs are going to be here. So that means that we're gonna need this kind of recessed surface. That means that we are not going to put the stones on top of the existing surface. Then it's going to look much better if we put a recessed surface, or like creating a box. So we are going to need to push this surface down. This surface, it's going to be necessary to push this down. So, and for this, we can, of course, as usual, we can use different ways. My opinion, the more flexible way to do this is start making this with light booleans, because with light boolean is a non-destructive way of working. So that means that at some point that you don't like what you are doing, you can remove the necessary tool and nothing happens. You can start over again. But instead of trying to push back as part of the existing surface, so once you're happy, maybe it's going to be necessary to come back from history and sometimes it's not going to be possible to be at the point that you need. Conclusion: I prefer to do this with live booleans. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this subtool, or instead of duplicate, okay, let's do it with the same thing. So here we have the existing polygroups are going to be very handy. So I'm gonna tap on this one, and now I'm gonna start growing the mask. Grow the mask, grow the mask. It's gonna be necessary to go to the masking menu to start sharpening the mask, growing the mask, sharpening the mask, growing the mask, sharpening the mask. And now let's measure how thick the wall is now. So from this point to the border, we have 0.4 millimeters, 0.4497, almost 0.45, 0.4 millimeter. I think it's going to be enough, but let's click on grow the mask one more time, sharpen the mask. And now this is what we have. And it is not going to be necessary to apply a stone setting in this part. So let's mask where? Let's turn the wings on. Let's put it here, right? Maybe if I do something like this and something like this, something like this, I think it's going to be enough. Let's smooth a little bit this transition. Yeah, something like this is going to be good enough. And then split the mask, sharpen the mask. Don't forget to apply this latest sharpening. And now we should go to this very useful plugin called Precision Extract. Where are you? Precision Extract, this one. With this plugin, we are going to be able to extract a precise amount of geometry with the desired thickness in millimeters. So in this case, it's going to be very useful. It's going to be very useful for creating a channel or a recessed area for an stone setting. I think 0.6 millimeter, it's going to be enough. Maybe we can say 0.7 to be to have more having a more safety space, or I don't know how to say it, so but you know what I mean. So 0.7, and now create precise extract, and here we have this is the piece of geometry, which is, if we double check this thickness, it is, and now it is, let me see, it is from this surface to this surface, it is 1.4. That means that ZBrush has extracted the same amount of geometry to both sides. That means I have 24, so that means that the original surface is going to be here. That means that here we have 0.4, 0.7, I'm sorry. Wow. I forgot to draw to write, so 0.7 and 0.7 in total. Here we have 0.4, so it is okay. So in some cases it's going to be necessary to turn this off, turn off double. That means that we are going to extract only the necessary thickness from the surface and to the outside. In this case, it's going to be necessary the inner part of the extraction, because let's click on frame. Let's turn off the wings. That's the reason why I said before I'm going to use live boolean. So this is what we get. Conclusion: 0.7 millimeter is too much. Let's repeat it. Undo. Let's say 0.4. Great, precision extracts. Okay. And this should be something like this. Like this is gonna be much better. Maybe let's say 0.33. Okay, now we have 0.33. I like to change the topology at this point. No, let's leave it as it is, like this. Let's grab this and put it here. Okay, like this. So now we already have the channel here. And let's repeat the same thing for this. Because maybe here I'm gonna put 2 or 3 stones. Let's see. Let's subdivide the mesh. And let's paint with the symmetry on. A little channel here. Yeah, something like this. No, let's leave this as it is, because I'm not sure. But so we already have this necessary recessed area, and now it's time to start creating placing the stones. So let's save it first. We are gonna be here till my 8. 7:12, so we have almost 45 minutes. So let's keep working. So I already have this custom brush I made. This is the hem cutter or hem sheets or whatever you can call it. So what you do with this one, I'm gonna select this. So you're gonna place, I need to remove the subdivision lines. You're gonna place the necessary sheets or cutters. I don't know which is maybe the technical word for this is cutters, because we are gonna cut out the metal to put the stone inside. Maybe that's the reason why we call these shapes. They are used to be known as cutters. I'm still working on this, on the shape of the stone. Okay. So the first things to change here is to change the depth. With this, you can control it with this. We should go a little bit deeper. You can find this graphic inside of, you go to the brush and you open the depth. So you will find this graphic here where the black line is the surface, and you can control how deep you want to place your insert brush. In this case, a little bit deeper, like this. So now the depth is good enough. Next step to take is to decide the sizes of the stones that we are gonna set. So for that, you're gonna need to use another external plugin called IMM Draw Size. Let's see how it works with 2mm stones. So 2mm set here. When you start dragging your insert brush, you press the Control key, and now you're having the desired measurement. That means that maybe 2mm is too big. Maybe if we go to 1mm stones, so it's going to has more sense. Maybe we can start creating a mix of 1.5 and 1mm. So let's see if for example, let's start putting split mask points. So we can start putting here the stones. If they are too close to the border, it is not very important because we can change the border if we need. Maybe this one needs to be a little bit closer to this one. And that's it. This one needs to be negative, so we are placing the stones maybe here. They're very close one to the other. Let's put them like this. Okay, maybe we can change now from 1 millimeter to 1.5. For having different stones sizes like this. And now 1 millimeter again. No, maybe 1.5 again. This will depend on your hamstone supplier. Maybe if you have 1.2 will be better, but I used to use the regular from half 1 millimeter to 2.5 and so on. So we can I don't like it, so let's start over again. Let's start trying to if you place very close one to the other, you can have problems. Let's put it here. The stone placement is very difficult. For creating the right layout. Not very convinced. I think from here I'm happy. Let's remove, I'm gonna remove these ones because I'm gonna follow filling the space here. Here we don't have enough space. Maybe I can put them closer here. Making more room. Like this. Oh, no. Making more room here. Let's grab the others. Whatever. And okay, let's see. Let's fix this. Sometimes the spaces need to be bigger. Sometimes it needs to be smaller. Maybe put it here. Put this there. You can see we are start having problems, but it's not a big issue because we can change everything at our preference. For example, like this. That means that this subtool is not big enough. So with the needs to be bigger without the backface. And this one now has sense the live Boolean process I said before, that it is a non-destructive way of working because you can fix things easily like this. So at your preference. So you need more room, you can make more room and nothing happens like this. Let's fix this. Let's fix this. And now maybe we can this here, and you needs to be here, and this needs to be here. And for example, here we have a little bit more room here for a one more stone, and we can close this like this. And now we come back to here, we can 1 millimeter, boink, one more stone there. And I'm gonna need to select this. Check a little bit this. Okay, perfect. So we have now, and now we can keep making more twigs. For example, here we can change the shape. I forgot to turn off my symmetry. Okay, now it's fixed like this, and it's okay. So now maybe here this is too thick, this wall needs to be smaller. This one needs to be thicker. And now we have the necessary room for all of the stones. So let's save this. And let's keep working on the arms. So let's see, looks like that the arms is going to be necessary to be thicker than they are now, because if we already have subdivision double, so let's be lower. You can see we don't have enough surface here. So let's click on, let's put let's leave this split mass points as a reference. So when we are modifying the legs, we have a reference, so we know which is going to be the necessary thickness. Sometimes it's possible to use 0.8 millimeter stones, which are very tiny, but sometimes it's possible. Let's make the surface flat. Make this as flat as possible. In this case, it's not going to be necessary to create any recessed surface or a channel for the stones, because we are going to use a very small surface. Let's because I'm gonna put in a stone here like this. So now let's use again the hand cutter again, 1 millimeter. This one needs to be deeper. There you go. So one more here, one more here, one more here, and let's change this, because maybe this one needs to be closer to here. So I need to refine the mask here like this. Wow, I did something wrong. Let's make the mask again. Here, and let's tweak this one. I made the mask again. Wow. Okay, like this. Make them more separated. Let's make that something like this. Let's put this closer to this one. Okay, something like this. And here we have the, and now maybe it's going to be necessary to tweak a little bit the legs, because here we need more space. We need more space. This is a good thing about organical forms and shapes, that we can change them. You can change them without affecting too much to the overall aspect of the. Let's create a new mesh. And now let's tweak a little bit this. Okay, so here we can maybe subdivide the mesh and try to create some more interesting shapes, like this one here. We can try to do something like this. Looks even more organical, not so mechanical as before, or as simple as before. Something like this. So we can use this brush for refining shapes. Let's see how thick legs are. Here we have a piece of 1.1 millimeter. I think it's going to be good enough. For avoid problems, let's change the profile here to make it a little bit thicker and more organical. And that's it. We can change the thickness of the base here. I'm sculpting 1mm thickness piece of material. Sometimes very often to forget what does the units means when you are sculpting so small tiny things, when you are creating jewelry. I think here I'm gonna sculpt a kind of ornament or something. Yes, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here. Maybe let's see how it looks like with the stones. Make a quick test. Maybe we can put 2, 3. Maybe they can work, maybe. So, but I'm gonna create a kind of organical channel. Like this. Without symmetry, send it to the center. Right. Okay, something like this. And now I'm going to put, okay, this thing, push this back. And here, let's polish it. And I'm gonna use the same, like this one, like this. Or maybe here. 1mm stones. Here. And one more here. And let's make more room. Like this, and maybe I'm going to need to make this 2 more separated. There, better. Let's refine the shape of this thing. This part. Like this. And looks good. Let's tweak this a little bit. Make this ending a little bit higher. Okay, let's save this. I'm gonna start subdividing this mesh. Instead of subdividing, let's use the dynamic subdivision mode. Let's, I don't want to apply any thickness. 0. And let's smooth the surface a little bit more, and the same thing here. Like this. I'm going to get rid of this polygroup because I'm looking for more rounded edges. So crease, so this. Yeah, something like this. And let's make it like this. So maybe it's just the time to start creating the. Can apply a surface noise to this surface noise to apply some color. So at this point it's be this blue, and here I'm gonna apply this another blue. Let's put more strength. Let's change the angle, offset. Yeah, something like this. Mixing. Nice scale bigger, less strength. Okay, like this looks nicer. So it has more kind of. Let's blending the colors. In the middle. Okay, so we can start placing the prongs, or maybe it's gonna be more fun, or maybe we're gonna create something different. Maybe if I work on the head, let's subdivide the head a little bit, and from this point, this is going to be so small, so just a few details, not too much. Something like this, for example. Just for having more interesting surface where lights reacts. Because when we are creating jewelry, most of the time we are creating reflective surfaces, so it's good to have different variations on the surfaces, because we're gonna be able to cast more interesting shines. So my idea is to put 2 stones here, rounded stones, maybe 2 garnets or any other, or crystal, red crystal stones. With the crystals, there is not many problem because you can glue it directly if necessary, or they can be set against the metal, just pushing the metal against the stone with the necessary tension. So could be a good way to just to keep the stone in place. Let's make it some kind of engravement feeling, manual engraving, like a manual piece, like this. Yeah, we can. And it's going to be interesting if we are not creating perfect surfaces, right? So we try to replicate and make work on the surfaces. Sometimes it looks very good, because this is one of the things that I don't like when you are using standard CAD softwares designed for create jewelry, because everything looks so artificial and so perfect. Of course, during the manufacturing process, you will get a lot of imperfections and problems sometimes, or maybe most of the time, depending on the methods of the process that you use. But on the screen, when you're creating a render, when you're designing something, everything looks so perfect and so artificial that I don't like. So that's the reason why I like to give some kind of manual touches or imperfections to my designs. Okay, we are creating a digital product, but I think it gives value to the render. Just creating perfection on the surface, because this is going to be only visible on the render. Maybe we are creating a very good machine through the printer. These kind of tiny little details are going to be visible on the surface. So today we have a wide range of 3D printers available in the market. So some of them are able to cast very tiny small details on the surfaces. But don't forget that when we are talking about jewelry, it's not only the precision of the printer, of the machine, because it's also the polishing and the finishing process, where we're gonna remove and we're gonna destroy a lot of details on the surface. Excavat, so cool, just move. Printer, try. Yeah, I haven't got any 3D printer. I think, in my opinion, it gives a lot of work, and you should be worried about so many things, about the chemical products, having a good space on your home where you can handle all the chemical products, how they smell. Always try to handle them with the gloves or the cleaning process once you have the printed piece. Okay, it takes a lot of time. I know that is the satisfaction that you have once you have your piece in your hand. That is invaluable, hasn't value. That the printing process is very takes a lot of work. Of course, depends of the kind of printer you are talking about. So I'm always talking about, I'm used to work with resin printers. Invaluable. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Invaluable. Okay, this is what we get so far. Let me see. You see how it works with the wings. So it's gonna be time to start creating the. And let's place the stones, because I have 15 minutes left. Yep, like that. Okay, I have success with my English. I try to do my best with my English. So you can see here this is a personal a custom brush that I made a time ago. I'm talking about this brush, the cutter brush. You can see it is composed by two different items. One is the cutter itself that has this kind of conical shape, and on top of each one I have a template, a tiny little polygon on top of each one. The reason why I have this is because at this point, when everything is in place, I go to split, similar parts, and I have two different subtools, the cutters itself and the templates. Here I have the templates. Let me save this first. My first language is Spanish, so I help with her. I don't mean harm by. Yeah, I think, yeah, for the Spanish speaker, for us it's very difficult sometimes to pronounce some of the words in English. I know, but you have experience about that. Because the way we have to pronounce when we are speaking Spanish is so different than the way that you pronounce in English. I think it's completely different. So it's, for the Spanish people, I think it's very difficult to learn how to pronounce properly the words, or giving them the right accent or intonance. So I'm using the templates. So I'm gonna open, to my tool folder here and have here a diamond cut stone. Now I have loaded on my toolbox. If I go now to my templates, using the Z modeler placed in the center. So I want to insert the nanomesh. Where is it? Insert nanomesh to all polygons. Which nanomesh? Clicking the M. Now selecting the diamond. So I'm gonna be able to put all the diamonds at once. So once I have the nanomesh in place, I can go to the nanomesh menu and start playing with the settings. Let me change, for example, in this case, the offset, how depth they should be, and how big they are. Now I'm having 0.7, 0.72, maybe 0.72. This is just for rendering purposes, right? This is not for 3D printing. It's just for showing how it looks like, as closer as possible to the reality. That's for creating a beautiful 3D render. That's not for manufacturing purposes, right? So, but with this process, I can control the stone setting like this. Once I'm happy with the placement, I can convert the nanomesh into real geometry, convert BBR to geo, and now I can split similar parts again, and I can hide. And now I have here the stones, everything in the center of each hole. Let's change the material for the stones. I like to use this one, mRGB fill object. And now we have the stones placed. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, you always feel stupid speaking in English, yeah, because you always have the feeling that you are not saying the things properly. So, because when you don't know how to pronounce something, you just invent the pronunciation and that's it. But I think the overall conversation is being and you are understanding what you want to say. But I think for a person who speaks English as English or English thinker, so maybe it's gonna sound a little bit, or most of the time, strange. But I think the most important thing is what you want to say. If you want to you are able to sense what you are thinking, or your thoughts about what you are saying, it's gonna be enough. It's not necessary to make a perfect pronunciations on all of the words. I'm here speaking Spanish and I don't know. speaking English, I'm sorry. So now let's repeat it here. And let's repeat the same thing here. Split to similar parts. Go into the templates. Insert anonymous. Now let's go into the anonymous settings. We set before 0.73, right? 73. Yeah. Offset minus like this. Create a real geometry and now split to similar parts again. And hide the template. We can keep using the templates if necessary. And now we can change. I can change the hair, the topology, the material, fill object. What I did? No, I changed the material to the wrong subtool. It's this one. Okay. So mRGB fill object. Perfect. Okay, so now maybe it's time to start thinking about the prongs. The prongs are the pieces of metal which are going to hold the stones in place. Let me save this. My English is awesome now. It's good enough. I like to say it's good enough to explain what I want to say. Yeah, having an accent means you are bilingual. Also, to who said they feel stupid speaking English, please don't. Yeah, because it's very brave to speak in second language. Yeah. Yeah, especially in a native country. I think the good thing about the English, or when you're a native country, because I think all of the people are used to receive people who don't speak English, so they try to communicate, and you need to be open-minded. So the person who is trying to explain what he wants to say with a different language is difficult. It's very difficult. But don't be shy and try to see things as better as you can. And that's it. I don't think if I have said something wrong or not. Sometimes at the same moment that I am talking, I am noticing that I'm saying things wrong. But it's just keep throwing words and don't care about it. For us, it's a challenge. So how is the process thinking in English and speak at yeah, that's another key point. Yeah, when you are doing things and thinking in a different language. Yeah, you are right. You are right. You are right. Yeah, you are doing two things at the same time. So it's hard to make that for a man, you know. Okay, let's start working with the prongs. Okay, I have 6 minutes left, so I'm not very happy with the head. Maybe I'm gonna come back, or maybe I'm gonna make a duplicate of this one. I'm gonna keep back to the original here, because I'm not very happy. I think maybe I prefer more simple, like this, not so detailed as this one. Okay, I'm gonna keep both. I will think it later. So let's grab another custom brush I made. This one. It's just a sphere. I need to turn off the curve mode. And for the prongs, I used to set up the prongs to 0.7 millimeter. Same process as before. Let's see if I am where I am. I'm here, and now it's time to start dropping your prongs. I can say, I can see that 0.7 millimeter is too big, maybe 0.6 millimeter better. Let's tweak the depth, and now we can start. I can start dropping the prongs. Okay, so split max points. So our rule is that each stone should be touched by at least 3 prongs. So for having a safe enough stone setting. Good. Maybe you can for me, this is the most difficult part of the jewelry when we are talking about the stone setting. I prefer to leave this work for a professional. I'm just making this just for rendering purposes. But it's much better to leave this work for a stone setter who knows what is the right placement, the right location of the prongs, distribution of the prongs. I just make this for create a render. Let's grab this. I can tweak this. And good thing about this now, we can use the topology brush with a very brush size. So we're gonna start tweaking them if necessary. This is what it looks like. And okay, I think I'm gonna stop here. Let me save for last time. Okay, just yeah. I get the same challenge when I speak in Spanish. Yeah, I think we should differentiate if we are speaking or we are communicating. I think in my opinion they are different things, because you always try to speak. That means that you try to speak well, properly. Maybe that's the main barrier that you have in your mind, because you're trying to speak with the right words, with the right verbs, and I think at the end it's just a matter of communicate. So I'm here just communicating with you what I'm doing. You are understanding what I'm doing, what I'm saying almost. But I know that I am not speaking English properly. English is very. I know that I have a very broken English, but I don't think about it. I'm just thinking about communicating what I'm doing, and maybe that's the reason why I don't need to think too much what I'm saying. Okay. The opposite, man. The opposite. Why? I'm saying that the communicating and speaking, they are Could be sounds the same, but they're completely different. But we just need to communicate, not to speak. Also, you can communicate with your hands, and here the same. You are trying to use more or less the right words, but they are not the 100% correct words, but they're good enough for communicating what you want to say. Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody. Anyway, for your support, saying that I am speaking English well or good enough. I will see you here. I don't know when. Maybe in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, for all of you who are interested on my communicating and speaking. But you should try to communicate instead of speaking. When you try to speak, I think is where problems comes, or more, when you're having more problems. Okay, let me find one thing that I want to show you. Where I am, because here on my bottom here you can see, you are watching here my link tree / Nacho Riesco, just for knowing my work. This link. I'm gonna paste for all of you on the chat. Just if any of you are still interested of what I'm doing about my work about jewelry designs. Also, I have more works related for more different things. Here we have access to my courses that I have from the Vertex School. Probably next year I will release a new course. I'm not sure yet. You can see some articles I have written for Keyshot. You can see some of the tutorial I have made on Photoshop tutorial, my website, my ArtStation, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, etc. So you have the whole collection of my links here, all gathered in one place. So thank you, everybody, for stepping by and sharing this time with me today. I hope what I did today has been useful for you, at least different, and I will see you here in the future. I hope so. And take care, everybody. Keep ZBrushing, and see you, everybody. Bye. Thank you.